Ah, the Netherlands. The land of cheese, clogs, tulips, and of course, the Dutch. Though this country is small, it is definitely not insignificant. In fact, the Dutch are renowned for many things, from their unique architecture and design styles, their innovative water management and windmills, to their festivals, cycling culture, and influences on electronic music. But did you know that the Dutch are actually one of the happiest nationalities in the world? Yes, that's right, according to the 2017 World Happiness Report, the Netherlands is actually the 6th happiest country in the world, with the UK, my country, coming in at 19th place. But where does this happiness come from? In this short video essay, I'm going to be exploring what it is that makes the Dutch so happy, what elements of their cultural identity play an important role in this happiness, and discuss what my own country could learn from the Netherlands. The World Happiness Report measures countries' happiness on variables like social support, healthy life expectancy, freedom to make life choices, generosity, perceptions of corruption, GPD per capita, and dystopia. Though the World Happiness Report uses these variables to define happiness, I want to take a look into other factors that I feel equates to the Dutch and their happiness. Firstly, I'm going to talk about the work-life balance and how the Dutch seem to have it all figured out. In 2011, the Netherlands was named the 3rd best country for having a work-life balance by the OEDC. They found that only 0.5% of people worked very long hours, and they also found that the Dutch have very low rates of youth unemployment, high reading literacy levels, below average levels of child income poverty, and high levels of life satisfaction in childhood. In 2009, it was found that almost 50% of working people in the Netherlands worked part-time. Accepting benefits is also something that's seen in a very different light here over in the Netherlands, and it's something that Ben Coates talks about in his book, Why the Dutch Are Different. Those unfortunate enough to become unemployed could be consoled with the knowledge that they would receive special grants from their government to cover the costs of going on holiday, on top of the generous out-of-work benefits. He also talks about how differently the Dutch viewed the role of their government compared to the UK. The Dutch invariably viewed their government not as authoritarian or incompetent, but as completely benign, like a kindly uncle who deposited regular checks into their letterbox and helped out with the children. People expected a generous level of state support and were not shy about claiming it. Whereas in my own country, not only are people shamed for their inability to find a job, but people with mental illnesses are left on waiting lists for months to be seen by a professional, whilst giving hardly enough money to even feed themselves properly, which is hardly an efficient system for helping people that need extra support. But back to a slightly happier note. As well as these factors that affect the happiness of the Dutch, it is clear that time spent with family and friends is a very important part of their culture. This very important part of their culture can be captured in one very important word, gezellig. Now, gezellig is a Dutch word when translated into English means cozy or coziness, but this isn't exactly an accurate translation. It's a very different type of cozy than you're probably thinking of. It's definitely not this, but it's more this. When your night is gezellig, you're having a really great and fulfilling time with your friends and family. This word captures the essence of sharing valuable time with the people in your life that you care about. The fact that the Dutch have an exact word for this feeling when you're having a really great time with your friends, I think is very telling that it's a very important part of their cultural identity. So we've established that the Dutch have managed to balance their work and life pretty well. But what is it that they're getting up to with all this free time, apart from hanging out with their family and friends? Well, something that I've witnessed in my time here is that the Dutch definitely don't have a shortage of national holidays spread throughout the year. Not only do they share a lot of the same holidays as ourselves back in the UK, like New Year's, Easter and Christmas Day, but they also have holidays like King's Day, where everyone is allowed to party in the streets in the name of the King's birthday. Which I personally believe is a fantastic strategy in getting people of all ages to care about the royal family. The Netherlands is a Christian nation, with the north of the Netherlands being predominantly Protestant and the south being predominantly Catholic. Due to this, they celebrate holidays like Ascension Day, Pentecost or Pinterklaas, and Sinterklaas. And in the southern provinces of the Netherlands, they celebrate this massive festival called Carnaval, where they party in the streets for the days up until Lent.
How would you describe Carnival for someone who's never experienced it before?
Party! Party! With people together, cozy. Yes.
So
A little bit of drinking, a little bit.
Only a little bit.
Crazy, music, a little bit crazy, dancing. Yes.
Very pleasure party. It is a tradition in the Netherlands, especially in the south. It is a party for the Catholic people.
How carnival is?
Feast!
Party.
Just a party!
No, really, what is important that you see other people and you connect with them.
Yeah.
That's the most and the main important thing, just to connect with other people, to have fun, talk to each other,
Yeah.
party, and forget about all the troubles and the sorrow. You know, that's
met some Scottish people, something like
yes,
Yeah.
it's Scottish people. Really, that's carnival.
Now, moving away from their work-life balance, their tradition of tolerance is something that I also feel equates to their overall happiness. In 2001, the Netherlands became the first country in the world to legalise gay marriage, making them ambassadors for all LGBT+ rights movements, and raised a discussion to be had in many other countries. A spokeswoman for the Dutch embassy told the Post, "We're always a bit ahead of other countries. We had those discussions years ago before other countries had even started." This is something the Dutch are very proud of, and rightly so. Here in Tilburg there's even a rainbow crossway to commemorate this important movement within the Netherlands. Having a country where everyone can be treated and respected equally must equate to the overall pride and happiness. But this isn't the only aspect where the Dutch seem to have a much more open mind than the rest of the world. The Netherlands has been praised for its decriminalisation of soft drugs like cannabis. In 1953, the drug was outlawed as it was seen as a gateway drug to harder drugs. But between the 60s and 70s, views began to shift. In 1976, revisions were made to the Opium Act that made the distinction between drugs that were harmful and drugs that were much softer and not so harmful. The Dutch understand that some people would rather relax with a joint after a long day at work instead of a glass of wine, and that these people should not be deemed criminals for that. Weed dispensaries, or coffee shops as they are named here, are allowed to sell small amounts of cannabis, and this approach did not promote excessive use like some people may believe. The research actually shows that in countries where cannabis laws are much stricter, the users are more likely to try harder drugs like cocaine and heroin. The fact that the Netherlands is a lot more lenient and relaxed towards non-violent drug offences is probably very closely linked to the fact that they have had to close a lot of prisons. In 2013 alone, 19 prisons throughout the Netherlands were closed down due to the lack of crime. With one massive prison in Breda closing to be renovated into a prison themed escape the room. So today I have discussed just some of the key variables that are part of a much larger picture on why the Dutch are so happy. The Dutch are in fact very different. And from this forward-thinking community, people clearly feel very safe and secure living here no matter what their circumstances are. Not only do they have a much more supporting government, but the Dutch are very proud to be a part of such a forward-thinking country. The UK could learn a lot from the Netherlands. Though we are not far behind in our happiness, there are some very distinct differences. In the UK, homeless people had their sleeping bags taken away from them to clean up for the royal wedding, and benefits continue to be cut from people who need it the most. Not only this, but we jail people for their addictions instead of giving them the support that they need. Like the Dutch, the British are also very patriotic. But what the Union Jack once represented is now being tarnished with this pro-Brexit ideology that's torn our nation apart. I could go on and on about what leafs the UK could take from the Netherlands book, but what is clear is that the Dutch are very different, but in all the right ways. From the points that I've discussed about today in this video essay, it is reluctantly clear that the sense of togetherness and community within the Netherlands is a massive part of what makes them who they are, what makes them so happy, and is a massive part of their cultural identity. The Netherlands' cultural identity can be defined with the elements that create their happiness.